Não há mais tempo a perder. O G20 é responsável por 80% das emissões de gases de efeito estufa. Por reconhecer o papel crucial do G20, a presidência brasileira lançou a força-tarefa para a mobilização global contra a mudança do clima. Reunimos, pela primeira vez, ministros de Finanças, Meio Ambiente e Clima, Relações Exteriores e presidentes de bancos centrais para discutir como enfrentar o desafio climático. Agora, ao lado do secretário-geral, Antônio Guterres, peço o engajamento do G20 na mobilização global conjunta Brasil-ONU para elevar o nível de ambição da próxima rodada de contribuições nacionalmente determinadas às
for the nationally determined contributions, the NDCs, because it's critical that the new NDCs are in line of the target of limiting the global temperature increase to a 1.5 degrees. Our compass continues to be the principle of common responsibilities, but different responsibilities, and this is imperative as far as climate justice is concerned. Even if we do not walk at the same pace, everyone can take one more step. To the developed members of G20, I propose that you bring your climate neutrality targets forward from 2050 to 2040 or even 2045. Without assuming historical responsibilities, rich nations will not have credibility to require ambition from the others. To the developing countries here, I call upon you for your NDCs to cover all economy and all greenhouse effect gases. It is critical that you consider to adopt absolute targets for reducing emissions. Brazil submitted and presented in Baku its new NDC that covers all greenhouse effect gases and economic sectors. We have taken on the ambitious target for 2035 to reduce emissions from 59 to 67 when compared to 2006. We have one of the cleanest energy matrices in the world, with 90% of our electricity coming from renewable sources. We are biofuel champions. We have moved forward in solar and wind power as well as green hydrogen. The biggest part of the reduction for our emissions will come from reducing deforestation that has reduced 45% in the last 2 years. We will not accept environmental crime. Deforestation will be eradicated until 2030. We want the world to recognize the role played by the forests and that they value the contribution of indigenous peoples and traditional communities. Brazil thanks for the collaboration from the G20 in designing the FTT, which is going to pay developing countries that keep their forests standing. We have also saluted and congratulated the approval of the bioeconomy principles of G20 that releases the basis for a new development model. But this effort will have no effect if the international community does not come together to do its part. Even if we do not cut any more trees, the Amazon will continue to be under threat if the rest of the world does not comply with the mission of keeping global warming at a stand. Oceans are another important climate regulator with possible source of solutions. They also need to be a priority of our concerns. In the strive for survival, there is no room for denialism or misinformation. Brazil will continue to work with UNESCO in the global initiative, UNESCO and the UN, with the global initiative for information integrity, especially information on climate change. While we are here, our representatives are in Baku negotiating a new climate financing target. There is no ambition that will be supported if we do not have a means for implementation. In Paris, we used to talk about $100 billion every year that the developed world has not complied with. And today we are talking about trillions. These trillions, they are there, but they're being wasted in weapons while the planet suffers. We cannot postpone to Berlin. Baku's task, COP30, will be our last chance to avoid irreversible rupture in the climate system. I am counting on everyone to make Berlin the COP where the story changes. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a stronger climate governance. It makes no sense negotiating new commitments if we do not have an efficient mechanisms to speed up the implementation of the Paris Agreement. Brazil is inviting the international community to consider the creation of a UN Climate Change Council that liaises amongst different players, processes and mechanisms which today are fragmented. Hope is being reborn at each commitment and act of courage in defending life and preserving the conditions that have been given to us. Thank you.
Cadê o meu?